So students, today we are going to study the Battle of Buxar, which was fought in 1764. We have already talked about the Battle of Plassey that happened in 1757. Mir Qasim. Let's quickly recall how we know him, what all we already know about this person. When we were studying the Battle of Plassey, we talked about how Sirajud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Bengal, he launched an attack on the trading settlements of the Britishers after the Britishers started to misuse the trading privileges that were given to them, the free trading rights that were granted to the Britishers. So there happened a battle, a war between Sirajud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Bengal, and Britishers under Robert Clive. Then we saw how Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of the Nawab's army, he conspired with the Britishers, he betrayed the Nawab of Bengal, and that is how Sirajud-Dowlah was defeated and later on killed by the Britishers. And we saw how Britishers, they go on to install the puppet Nawab, that is Mir Jafar, as the Nawab of Bengal. But then again we see that after a few years, when Mir Jafar could not pay the requisite amount to the Britishers, could not keep the Britishers happy monetarily, then he was also replaced by Mir Qasim. This is the same Mir Qasim who replaced Mir Jafar as the another puppet king by the Britishers. Now we will be starting the Battle of Buxar. In the map you can have a look. Buxar is here. It is close to this Awadh, the present UP region, Uttar Pradesh region, UP and Bihar border. This particular area, this region, Buxar is found where this battle happened. We saw that Plassey was in West Bengal and this Buxar is in the UP Bihar border area where this Battle of Buxar will be fought. So let us see what all situation was created that eventually led to the Battle of Buxar. We see that Mir Qasim, he was made the Nawab of Bengal by the Britishers in 1760. But after some amount of time, we see that he realized that Britishers are exercising absolute control over him. He does not have any freedom to exercise his power as the Nawab of Bengal. He did not have any say in the administrative matters, in the collection of revenue, and also he had to follow the orders which were given by the Britishers. So he tried to free himself from British control. We see that Mir Qasim was not as weak a ruler as Mir Jafar. So he tries to resist the control of the Britishers over him. He was a very efficient ruler. He made many attempts to strengthen his position as the Nawab of Bengal to get out of the control of the Britishers. He improved the economic position of Bengal. He hired many European experts and trained his army with modern equipments and disciplined them the way the Britishers' army was disciplined. He tried to discipline his own army in the similar fashion and made them acquainted with modern equipments. Then he also abolished duties on internal trade. Now, why did he do that? That he went on to abolish the duties on internal trade. We know that initially the British company, the company officials, they were given the duty-free trade rights. That is, they can carry on the trade, import goods, export goods without giving any custom duty to the ruler. But if there is any official who is indulging in private trade, he has to pay a custom duty. So every other merchant who is involved in trade has to pay a custom duty to the ruler, but only the East India Company officials, they were given an exception so far that they do not have to pay any trading custom duty. But then what happened, the company officials, they started to misuse this power. As we have already studied why the Battle of Plassey happened, the company officials, they started to indulge in private trade where they would use their duty free trade permit. They would not pay the custom duty to the ruler and also indulge in private trade and make private benefits. This was a loss of revenue for the ruler of Bengal. So what did Mir Qasim think? He thought that I will altogether remove the custom duty for any merchant, for all the merchants. That is to say, now even Indian merchants, they need not to pay any custom duty if they are indulging in trade. So if there will be no custom duty at all, so that will bring everyone at an equal level. So again, these British merchants, they cannot will not be having any extra advantage, and it will bring them at an equal footing or at an equal level with the Indian merchants as well. So that is what he thought, that as it is, I am not benefiting and these British people are making a lot of benefit, so why not let me also give equal benefit to my local merchants, to my own people, to my the local merchants, the Bengal merchants also. So he altogether removed this trading free trade permit. He said now nobody has to pay a custom duty. Now everyone will have a free trade permit. You can indulge in trade and nobody has to pay a custom duty now. So now this was obviously not liked by the Britishers. British become hostile towards Mir Qasim. Hostile, unfriendly. Now they sense, okay, this Mir Qasim is taking steps which are not beneficial to us. These are very harmful for us, and that is how the relations between Mir Qasim and Britishers got hostile, got unfriendly, and eventually it resulted in a war in 1763. So, although we see that it was the Britishers who had brought Mir Qasim, who had replaced Mir Jafur and placed Mir Qasim as the Nawab of Bengal, but because Mir Qasim was not, a puppet, he was a very strong leader and he did not like the control of the Britishers over them. So, he took a lot of measures to, break free himself from the control of the British. This was not liked by the British, and so this led to war between the two. Now, there happened this war in 1763. Mir Qasim lost the war and the Britishers won the war. When the Britishers won, they thought that Mir Jafar was better, at least we could control him. He was a scared fellow, he will work under us. So they brought back Mir Jafar and made him the Nawab of Bengal again. So they defeat Mir Qasim and bring back Mir Jafar and make him the ruler of Bengal, Nawab of Bengal. Now Mir Qasim, after he loses the war, he goes to Awadh region. Awadh region is our own Uttar Pradesh region, that it was then known as Awadh. So he comes to Awadh and he forms an alliance, that is, friendly treaty, that let us get together and defeat the Britishers. So he forms an alliance with whom? With the Nawab of Awadh. So he comes to Awadh, whoever is the Nawab of Awadh, he is Shuja-ud-Dawla. Do not get confused. In Battle of Plassey, we studied about Siraj-ud-Dawla, who was the Nawab of Bengal. Here we are talking about the Nawab of Awadh, Shuja-ud-Dawla. So Mir Qasim comes to Awadh, he forms an alliance with the Nawab of Awadh, that is Shuja-ud-Dawla, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. So at that time the Mughal Emperor is Shah Alam II. So Mir Qasim comes here, he forms an alliance with the Nawab of Awadh, Shuja-ud-Dawla, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, and say, let's together fight against the Britishers. So the combined forces of the three allies, the three friends you could say, who came up together, they meet the British forces on 22nd October 1764 at Buxar. So finally happens the Battle of Buxar. When? Learn the date. 22nd October, which year? 1764 at Buxar. Between whom does this Battle of Buxar happen? Between the Britishers on one side and the three allies, that is Mir Qasim, Nawab of Awadh Shuja-ud-Dawla, and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II on the other side. So this Battle of Buxar happens, and the result is that the allies lose the war and British once again wins the war. So we see Battle of Plassey was also won by the Britishers, and again this Battle of Buxar is won by the Britishers, and that is how we see Britishers go on to expand their empire, and that is how they go on to rule over our country. So when the three allies, they lose the war in 1764, the next year in 1765 a treaty of Allahabad is signed. So there is a treaty of Allahabad signed after the Battle of Buxar, between the three allies and Britishers. So there is always, usually after a war, a treaty is signed wherein the winning party, the victorious party, imposes certain conditions on the side which loses the war. So in 1765, this Treaty of Allahabad is signed after the Battle of Buxar. You can have a look at the picture. He is the Nawab of Awadh. On left side, Shujauddaulah. On the right side, you can see the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. These two, they came up together with Mir Qasim to fight against the British in the Battle of Buxar. Now, what were the provisions? What was decided in this Treaty of Allahabad, which happened in 1765? According to this treaty, Shujauddaulah, who was the Nawab of Awadh, he got back his region of Awadh, that you can take back. You're the Nawab of Awadh, so you can have control over Awadh, but you will have to give the district of Allahabad and Kara to the British. So Shujauddaulah, he was asked, okay, you can go back and continue being the Nawab of Awadh, but you will have to give the region of Allahabad and Kara to the British. And also, Shujauddaulah had to pay a war indemnity of 50 lakh rupees to the British. What is war indemnity? Whichever is the losing side has to pay for all the losses which is caused to the victorious power. It has to pay for the losses. So whatever soldiers were lost, weapons were destroyed in this, for all those losses, the losing side, that is Nawab of Awadh, he had to pay this 50 lakh rupees. It was decided he will pay 50 lakh rupees to the British as the war indemnity. Now, then Shujauddaulah also had to pay the cost of British troops for receiving protection against enemies. So the British said that they will install their troops here in Awadh and they will provide protection to Shujauddaulah from other enemies, and in return the Nawab will have to look after the expenses of the army, provide them food, lodging, salaries, and all the expenses will be met by the Nawab, that is Shujauddaulah. So we see that Awadh becomes a buffer state between British possessions of Bengal and Marathas. What is buffer state? It is like a neutral state between the British possession of Bengal. British had occupied Bengal after the Battle of Plassey, and the Marathas. So we see these two regions. Buffer is basically a neutral state between two unfriendly states. So Marathas and Britishers were, very hostile, unfriendly to each other. So this one, Awadh becomes a sort of a, neutral state lying in between these two hostile states. Then we saw this Battle of Buxar happens. Then happens this Treaty of Allahabad, and these are certain, points, certain impositions are made on Shujauddaulah. Certain conditions are imposed on Shujauddaulah. What other are the impacts of Battle of Buxar? We see that Shah Alam II, who was the Mughal emperor, he acquired the region of Kara and Allahabad from Britishers with an annual pension of 26 lakh rupees. So we see that Shujauddaulah, he was given back the entire region of Awadh that you can rule, but regions of Allahabad and Kara were taken from Shujauddaulah and given to the Britishers. Now Shah Alam II, he takes back the region of Kara and Allahabad from Britishers and is also promised that Shah Alam II will be given an annual pension of 26 lakh rupees. But in exchange, what will he have to do? He will have to grant the company, the East India Company, Diwani rights. What are the Diwani rights? Diwani rights are right to collect revenue. The revenue collection rights to British in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. That is to say, it was decided that Shah Alam II can get back the region of Kara and Allahabad, and Britishers will also pay Shah Alam II an annual pension, annually rupees 26 lakh rupees, and in exchange Shah Alam II is the Mughal emperor, so he has the authority, so he is going to grant the Diwani rights to the East India Company. That is the right to collect revenue from the region of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So now the Britishers can collect the revenue from these three states, and we know Bengal was one of the richest provinces. Even Bihar and Orissa were very fine states to collect revenue. So once you get the revenue collection rights, that will make you very rich at that point of time. So that was the strategy they played, and that is after this war, getting the Diwani rights. Britishers, became very strong in the country. They used this wealth to exploit other regions, to expand the empire and defeat other states, and finally, conquer or rule over the entire country. So this played a very crucial role in the Indian history, the granting of Diwani rights. So one major impact of Battle of Buxar was the granting of Diwani rights, that is right to collect revenue, to the Britishers. Shah Alam too, he became nominal head of Mughal Empire. That is, he was just a namesake head. He had no real powers. Just for saying it, he was called the Mughal Emperor after the Battle of Buxar. Besides that, he had no real power left now. Company, that is the East India Company, it now had legally, it had the control over Bengal. And as we saw that the Britishers had made Mir Jafar again the Nawab of Bengal. So he was just a puppet. He did not have any military or administrative power. All those powers were with the British only. But he was just so-called Nawab of Bengal, who worked as per to the instructions given by the Britishers. Then we see Mir Jafar's son. He was made the Nawab of Bengal after the death of Mir Jafar in 1765. And he signed a treaty with Robert Clive. So the son of Mir Jafar, he becomes the Nawab of Bengal after Jafar's death, and he goes on to sign a treaty with Robert Clive. What was this treaty? As per to this treaty, he had to disband his army. That is, his son, who had become the Nawab of Bengal, will no more maintain an army. He will have to disperse his army. He will not be maintaining an army of his own now, and he will transfer Nizamat power. What is Nizamat? The power of administering and looking after judicial powers that any head of the state has. So all these powers, the Nawab will be giving all these powers to a deputy Nawab who was appointed by the Britishers. So we see that Mir Jafar's son, he comes into a treaty with Robert Clive, where he is no more allowed to have an army of his own. He has to disband his army, and he transfers all the Nizamat powers, that is the power to administer, to deliver judicial functions, all which are the powers of the Nawab. They are all given to the deputy Nawab, who was appointed by the Britishers. And Britishers, they in return gave him an allowance of around 53 lakh rupees annually. So in return, he will be getting 53 lakhs for his own personal expenses, and in exchange, he will have no powers in his hand. And even later, even this amount was reduced, and eventually we see that English East India Company, it became the real ruler of Bengal, with the right of collection of revenue, with the administrative powers in hand, with the judicial powers in hand, and also with the power to maintain its own army. We see that English East India Company was the real power. Nobody else had those powers. So that is how we saw how after the Battle of Plassey and then after the Battle of Buxar, how there was a transition, and how we saw that the Britishers rose to the position of becoming rulers in India. So the victory in the Battle of Buxar made the Britishers masters of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa. It laid the foundation of British rule in India. And the Nawabs of Awadh and Bengal and the Mughal emperor, they all became dependent on the company. So the Battle of Buxar finally made the Britishers the rulers of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, and the power of the Nawabs of Awadh, Bengal, and even the Mughal emperor was reduced to just namesake, and the real powers were now in the hands of the East India Company, who became the rulers of these regions, and eventually they go on to acquire the control over the rest of the country as well.